Down Sports. I'm your host, Ray Dunn.
Oh, we did it.
There's my new beginning. Sitting down at the end of the desk is my brother, Chris Dunn.
How's it going, eh?
Also sitting here to my left is co-host producer Andy Jardine.
Yo.
Sitting back at the room on our sound and audio. You can't see him on video right now, but it's my little brother, Nicky. Oh, sorry, Nick.
Nick.
Thank you.
All right, sorry.
You should keep that mug right off.
How do you
off
spell
screen.
Nick? Is it Nicki?
You're an idiot.
Nicky
Yeah,
did.
you already broke the rules. Nick already broke the rules.
All right. we have our sponsors we need to talk to you about here real quick. If it's a Monday, Tuesday, Friday, let's see if it's Saturday, and you need to get yourself a nice cold beer, get yourself a Moose Light. This stuff is scary good.
Scary.
Scurry.
So scary.
If you're a sports team, an organization, a school team, and you need hats, shirts, jackets, you name it,
And you need logos on them.
yeah, you go see our buddies at Doyle's Corporate Image.
Lawnmower company.
Those
Doyle
lawnmowers.
rules.
Yeah, lawnmowers need logos.
They
And
do.
last but not least, if you're here in Moncton, New Brunswick, or anywhere else across this great nation, and your kitchen sucks, and you know most likely it does,
Probably. Moose
Probably
job.
does.
Maybe.
make sure you go get yourself some Done Right sauce. This stuff is going to spice your kitchen up.
See, scratch one.
It's going to take it to the next level.
And don't forget, here in New Brunswick, you can go to Sobeys. You can also get it at various Sobe locations in Ontario. And of course, don't forget to check out Robert
setting
Luongo's. He's got his own set of grocery stores.
Longo.
Oh, it's
in
Luongo's?
Ontario.
All right, hold on here. Help me out. It's not Luongo's. It's
Right.
Longo's.
Longo.
Yeah,
Longo's.
All right.
Yeah.
Go to Longo's. All right. We are Facebook Live tonight. Okay, we're testing this out. This is something we used to do. We want to get back to it. We've got Nick on sound and audio. He's going to be fielding your questions. So any questions you have during the show, or if you disagree with something we say, let Nick know. He's going to feed it to us, and if you have a question, we'll do our best to answer it.
Let's do it.
Facebook Live. We're going to try this out again. Now, we've had a few people reach out and ask, where was last week's show?
Sorry, fellas.
I can tell you, it was here
Yeah, we did have a
in
show
this
last
general
week.
area. It was
We
here.
did have a show last week. All I can tell you is that show probably may not have made it. It might have something to do with this coin or a jersey up over the back of my shoulder here. We had a conversation get a little out of hand last week,
A bit heated.
and
We got into the sponsor and into the Moose Light sponsor, and we had some strong opinions.
because of that show, we have had to put some serious thought together, and we have put together our own code of conduct for First Down Sports Podcast.
Yep. And I already broke it.
We have HR policies now, and Nick, you are officially on a written warning.
Yellow card.
So
Yellow card.
there's
So
been a whole
ask your questions quick, because I might be out of here.
there was a whole bunch of stuff that went wrong last week. So as your host, I just want to say we're sorry that we didn't get our show out to you last week.
Uncle Chris really got pissed off. I'm really sorry.
And as the guy who had to just sit here and basically wipe both sides of his face off from time to time, I accept your apology as well.
Except
Andy, I am sorry.
At one point, he held up a help sign.
Yeah.
he did.
I wish we still had the video. Like I said,
Andy-
I had some fun during this. I did some arts and crafts.
And if we
Curled
do,
into a ball?
if we do find the video, we will definitely make
We'll
sure
post
that we get it up at some point.
We'll
but
post it.
just for Nick and Andy, I got to ask you a couple questions. I mean, I'm going to throw out some interviews that have taken place in the past, and these are talk shows that went wrong. I don't know if you remember the Jim Everett versus Jim Rome.
Oh, the
where,
best,
Where
the best.
Jim Rome kept calling him Chris Everett. And he dared him. He says, I dare you to call him.
I bet you I will.
He says, I bet you I will. He says, I dare you to it. He said, okay, Chris.
I guarantee you. No, he's
Knocks the table over, tackles Jim Rome to the ground. Was that argument worse than the argument we had over officiating last week?
Yeah.
Yes.
because there was no tackle.
There was
Yeah,
no
there,
tackle.
there was no violence. Yeah.
What? You
The
could
o-
kind
you were sitting between us. You were sitting.
It was
between
getting
us.
that heated, and the thing
You
was,
could kind of see when they were looking at each other that it could end up going that way. So I might say it was
I've
worse.
seen it a million
when
times.
I ended this, when we ended the show, and I vacated this seat, it continued, and you saw how fast I packed my stuff up to go.
yeah, you were-
I was like, this could happen. This could go down. So yeah, I don't know. To me, still not quite there.
All right, there was another one. This happened on the Best Damn Sports Show. Remember Tom Arnold?
Oh yeah.
He had Michael Strahan on, and Tom Arnold was attacking him over the New York Giants.
Yeah.
And Strahan went through the roof and ended up taking him down. Do you guys remember this one?
Yes.
Vaguely.
Which one would you put ahead? Would you put that one ahead of ours, or
No,
was
because
ours-
there's violence again. There was actually
Again,
contact.
yeah, we need one that didn't result in actual. Though, again, like I said, I left when you guys were still going. Maybe violence did occur.
Okay.
I don't know.
There
but
was a hip toss.
I'm going with. I
Guaranteed.
don't think there was. So the table's still intact. I thought maybe
There
somebody
was-
was getting
I-
power bombed through
There's
this.
more
thing.
duct tape on
That brings
it,
up our
though.
new sponsor,
There was-
Gorilla Tape.
there was a classic one. I don't know if you guys. This is not sports related, but remember Andrew Dice Clay versus that CNN reporter?
I don't remember that one.
Vaguely remember.
Okay,
this.
go to YouTube, check out Andrew Dice.
I
Clay
can only
versus
imagine
CNN.
because Andrew Dice Clay
And Andrew
in
Dice
general.
Clay,
Yeah.
he dropped about 20 F-bombs during the interview, which
Okay.
we actually held off. We didn't
Yeah.
have any F-bombs.
There was-
I'd say that was worse. Again, that was worse because we didn't do F bombs.
Okay.
There was a lot of red faces and fixado.
All right. Well, those are three I came up with. I mean, if apparently it doesn't sound that bad. So if we do get the audio up, then or if we do find the video, then maybe we'll get it up and going at some point, and we'll let the listeners decide how bad our argument actually was.
I saw if I had to come up with a comparison, somebody shared like a Facebook video the other day of two-year-olds.
The Gerber babies.
Maybe I'll stop there, but that's the closest thing really that I can
And
think of.
here we go again.
Yeah, I said keep it respectful.
No,
so
it was-
round two.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I broke
this
the
is
rules.
what I
I broke the
think.
rules. HR, I will fill out the form.
Andy,
We do have a quiz question from an audience.
Oh, we have. a
Oh,
quiz
already.
question. All right.
And who is the member? Who is this?
It is Luc LeBlanc.
Okay.
Oh, of course.
Never would have guessed Luke would be engaged in this. Yeah.
Luke
So
LeBlanc.
he has a quiz question for you guys.
Quiz
Okay.
question. Okay.
It is so against which team did Buffalo Sabres Rick Martin suffer a 1980 knee injury
Oh, jeez.
that ended his career?
So for starters, guys, I thought Bill's trivia has been outlawed.
Yeah.
Luke.
So Luke, you're
You're not paying
contributing to the
attention.
problem here.
Sabres, not Bills.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Sabres?
This is
It's
Wow.
Buffalo
Rick
Sabres.
Martin.
Buffalo
Come
Sabres.
on.
I don't.
Is this a French connection? No?
It was the Washington Capitals.
I do know the French connection.
Washington Capitals.
Washington Capitals. Let's move on.
All
All right.
Thank you for that, Luke.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you,
Yeah.
Luke. This
Try to-
is-
try to be more relevant.
This is
Come on.
primarily a football show, but good job, Luke.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Next up, lacrosse.
Let's get into some NFL. Andy, take us through the NFL.
Let's talk NFL. And as always, we like to start with the Bills and Browns. We'll start with Bills. I didn't get a chance to watch this game, but I'll tell you this. I got a GIF from Nick after the first half, and it was something along the lines of, "This is Tyrod Taylor," and it was somebody completely out of their mind, I think, throwing up or something. Like, it wasn't good. So I thought, all right, Bills are having a terrible day. The Browns are too. But I hear things turned around.
Things turn around.
It did. This was one of those games that we talked about, like, and not to compare the Pats versus the Bills, but the Pats are doing that bend, not break. They keep winning games, and we're starting to show a little signs of we're going to bend a bit, but in the end, we didn't break, and we ended up winning a game that we traditionally would have lost.
Well, I'm. It's funny you said that because the first thing that I thought about when I reviewed this game afterwards is, in years past, Bills have come accustomed to seeing these types of games slip away.
Yep.
And on Sunday, when Winston threw that perfect pass to Mike Evans for a touchdown,
Amazing.
it sure felt like it was a game from the past that was falling apart. Then the offense marches downfield in like 5 plays with 3 minutes left to go,
Thing of
and
beauty.
And McCoy runs it in for a touchdown with 2:28 left to play in the game.
Oh yeah.
Now, my only thing is when it happened, I said 2:28. Like, there's too much time on the clock. We're still going to get screwed in this game.
Yeah.
And sure enough, Winston lines up. They make one passing play. They line up for a second. The ball's caught. And then our new little rookie wide, defensive
Thompson.
back.
Oh, yeah.
Tre'Davious White.
Yeah, White. Yeah.
White makes the biggest play yet of his Bills career. And this guy's had lots of highlights for a rookie as it goes.
Already. Yep.
Not only causes a fumble, but better yet, comes up with the ball after the fumble and sets the Bills to win this game.
Well, the quick tidbit on that, he let Evans. He was covering Evans
Yeah.
when Evans caught the touchdown.
Yeah.
And he says if a receiver catches it, that's blown coverage because people are like, "You were close." No, you were close. It was good coverage. No,
Yeah.
it wasn't good coverage. And I like how he was so into the game. You stayed in the game and you caused a fumble.
Cause a game.
Yeah, that was great.
And I tell you, player of the game, though. Player of the game is not even somebody that was on the roster last week, Andy. Mm-hmm. They didn't even play. Now, this guy, they just signed him on Tuesday last week after being released with the Bears. He shows up, and in his past, he was with the Ravens, and he worked with Tyrod on the third team offense. Okay, he's the only Bills receiver to break 100 yards this year. And here's the craziest stat
was gonna
about
ask
this.
who this guy
Listen to
was.
this.
Yeah.
Here's the craziest stat. This guy caught 4 balls for over 100 yards, and he only's had 3 practices.
Yeah.
He's caught more balls
Practice?
than he's practices at this point.
Practice?
Nice. Yeah. Well, good for him. My only thought on this game is this other podcast I listen to. Every time they review a game, they give this memorable call. They play a recording of a memorable call from the game.
Yeah.
And it's always the local announcers. And I don't know who the local guy is in Buffalo, but he's got this saying for Hoshka, and he says
Paul Hamilton.
Hosh money. Hoshk money, Hoshk money.
Yeah.
And we're listening to the call of the field goal where he says, they're playing on Hoshk money. He must have said it 5-6 times in a row. Yeah. And then, he hit I thought it was pretty funny. Overdoing it a little bit, but I like it. I thought it was good.
Now, I don't want to get into officiating again here, but
Boy, here we go.
you guys heard me talk a few weeks ago over the fact how coaches, whether it's high school, minor, or professional coaches, just don't understand clock management. And at the end of the first half, it was another perfect example of how a coach in the NFL does not know how to manage the clock.
Yeah.
Okay? So, just my thoughts real quick. Bills get the ball, 23 seconds left with a timeout, and they're in position with a few yards they can get in field goal position. Okay? And especially in the NFL, you do not want to be leaving points on the table.
Never.
They make a throw about 8 yards downfield. They take a timeout with 11 seconds to go. Okay? Now, keep in mind, that play took almost 10 seconds in itself.
Yeah.
Okay? Now they got the ball 11 seconds, and they got Hushka that can come in and make 55-yarders like they're nothing.
Hoshk money.
Hush money.
So instead, they take a timeout, and the offense comes out to make a pass to Jordan Matthews, who's out in the flat. He's about 15 yards from the sidelines and gets tackled inbounds with no timeouts. Guess what? The half's over. Mm-hmm. They get no field goal or no TD. Rather than make that pass to the flank like that, send them downfield. Take a shot at the end zone. If the play's not there in the end zone, well, now you're lining up for that field goal.
Well, if he was in the flat, Ray, maybe he thought there was time to get out of bounds.
That's what they thought.
I know, but it's still a risky call.
Yeah, you got to be.
It's a risky call to be making that pass with only 11 seconds on the clock and no timeout.
Play.
Yeah.
That being said, the Bills are 4-2. I can't believe the Bills are 4-2, and
Nor
even
can I.
better, they're 4th place in the AFC right now. When you look at the conference standings, they're 4th place.
Big game next week.
They've got Oakland this week,
The Raiders.
right?
Everything's wide open.
I'm telling you,
Simba.
I'm not afraid of any team right now as a Bills fan. These guys are finding a way to win, and Sean McDermott has brought in a different mentality to the Buffalo Bills than we've seen in years.
And Lynch is out, too.
That's
So
the Bills.
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say I think we covered the Bills probably twice as long as we should have. But
Yeah.
I still have a question for you guys, which
Yeah.
is Tyrod Taylor. Like, how do you feel about Tyrod Taylor? I feel like week to week, you guys don't feel good about Tyrod Taylor. Like,
Listen, I think
are you winning in spite of him or despite of him? Like, what's going on here?
Tyrod Taylor is the answer for right now. I still don't think he's the answer for the future. I predicted to you guys that the rookie would be in at some point this year.
Yeah.
That still could happen. But right now, Tyrod has got the ball and nobody's taking it from him.
And I think he's showing flashes. His deep ball is not good, but he shows flashes, and where he makes it up is with his legs. Okay. Sometimes he extend it, he can run it, and there's a few places where he should have ran, and he threw it, try to put it into a tight little pocket. But if he would extend it, it would have made his job easier. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, we'll try to.
Let's talk some Cleveland Browns. Even more exciting than the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
We've just transitioned to the most exciting.
So the Browns
team in the
Browns lost 12-9 in overtime to the Titans. It's a winnable game. This is the best I've seen the defense play all year. Just absolutely controlling the game. But yet again, the offense can't do anything. The run is working, yet the coach just refuses to lean on it and has this rookie throwing the ball. The rookie gets benched after his first series of the third quarter because he threw 2 passes in a row that were interceptions in the red zone, and you can't do that. It's bad. Like, just when you think the Browns have hit rock bottom, and I think I've said that out loud for the last 4 years in a row, they just keep digging. They keep digging. And you know what? There is no rock bottom. You can always keep going further.
It's going to keep going.
So at this point, 0-16, it was in play last year. I would say it's very likely now this year. They have no identity on offense. They have a coach who refuses to realize what his team can and cannot do and continues to ask them to do things they can't. He's admitted that he's probably going to rotate quarterbacks for the rest of the year because whoever's turning the ball over is not going to play. So that's a winning strategy.
Always.
And I know, Ray, your question for me is, do I agree with how they're handling Kaiser? So give me your thoughts first.
Well, first of all, here, I think it was safe to say, even after the Browns' record last year, Hugh Jackson was safe in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. They needed to build stability. Remember that big conversation we had over the fact they need stability in Cleveland?
Yep.
The way they're handling, and talk about how they're handling Kaiser, but will he have that same pass at the end of this season as he did last season?
If he somehow pulls off 3 to 4 wins between now and then, sure. Otherwise, gone.
Gonzo.
In the NFL, you get 2 years to prove that you can make this team better and you can at least show signs of improvement. Derek Carr's rookie year, right? The recipe is this. You find your quarterback, and even if he doesn't win a lot, he's the guy, and you know that the coaching staff is getting better game to game, right? So they went 3-13. Very next year, they bounced back. Like, they just keep getting worse. The coach is making incompetent call after incompetent call. He declined a holding penalty. It was 3rd and 1, and he declined a holding penalty, thinking that he could stop them 1 yard instead of sending them back 3rd and 11. The other team was so blown away that they had an offensive tackle reporting as eligible before he even, said let's decline. Like, it's that ridiculous. He's lost his mind. I have no faith in him whatsoever. They're just getting worse and worse and worse. You get 2 years. I agree with right now with what he's doing with the quarterbacks. He has 3 quarterbacks on the team. One of them's a 21-year-old rookie, and the other 2 are second-year players.
Yeah.
They failed Kaiser the moment they did not keep Josh McCown, or actually have a veteran quarterback on the roster. I understand that Brock Osweiler is not sort of veteran mentor material, but he should have just started the year, regardless of what anything looked like in the preseason. So they failed Kaiser right away. Nothing is more irritating than the fact that the Browns cannot, for the life of them, solve their quarterback problems, but here they are in the business of solving everybody else's.
Yeah.
So in 2 years, they've solved the quarterback problems of 3 teams. They've traded away the number 2 pick last year for Carson Wentz to the Eagles, which broke my heart. Like, I wanted Carson Wentz, even though I tried to accept the trade. I thought he was perfect for the AFC North. Giant guy, sturdy. I thought for sure, that was the guy. They traded it away. I tried to talk myself into it. 1 year later, they solved the Texans quarterback issue by saying, oh, you got a second round pick? No problem. We'll take on that big idiot and his $16 million contract. Sure, we'll take him on. So right away, you bail him out, you get their second round pick, and then you turn around and you trade them number 12 to take Watson. Yeah. Now, I'm not heartbroken over Watson because I don't. He's just not the type of quarterback that succeeds in the AFC North, and I've seen so many guys fail just due to physical limitations. I don't think he could stand up, but at the end of the day, would I take him over what we have now?
Absolutely.
1,000 times.
Absolutely.
And then we also, it's just nuts. The Texans quarterback, we just solve everybody's quarterback problems but our own.
Sure.
So I know we're going to talk about Wentz a little bit later. It kills me to watch him, as fun as it is. So anyway, that's enough on the Cleveland Browns. I can't wait for the season to be over. I want them to pull the plug on the whole thing. And, at least if this regime did anything, they set us up with a ton of draft picks. So just bring somebody reputable in to work with the talent. Myles Garrett's a beast. He has 4 sacks in 3 games. Just bring somebody in and just let's start over.
Let's go.
Yep.
All right, let's get into some actual productive teams in the NFL.
Let's start with the Thursday night game, guys, which was a pretty exciting game with a crazy ending with what was there, 4 or 5 untimed downs at the end of the game?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Chiefs Raiders, I just I'll point out this and then let you guys run wild with the game, but the Chiefs have lost 2 in a row now. 2 weeks ago, we thought they were definitely the team to beat in the AFC. I'm not sure we're ready to withdraw that now, but anyway, it was a Thursday nighter, the only game on TV. I know you guys watched it. What do you think?
Well, couple things here. Both Alex Smith and Derek Carr, I can say he's back.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
for sure.
He's back now.
For sure.
I don't know if I like that because the Bills are playing against him this week, but Derek Carr is officially back. He hasn't looked this strong since the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Alex Smith just continues to impress. He's such a good quarterback. And I have to say the most interesting thing out of this game for me was Amari Cooper.
Jeez.
Wow.
Finally.
The comeback.
Finally.
Wow.
Showed up on a score sheet. This guy's been such a fantasy bust for me for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And I don't have him on my team this year. And week to week, I'm pretty happy the fact I don't. But this week, he finally puts up 210 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Unreal.
And knocks it out of the park from a fantasy perspective.
Quick point on that. I was watching NFL Network, and they have that fantasy live show that they do, and they showed a stat that Amari Cooper was on the bench in over 60% of leagues that owned him.
Wow.
He's been that bad this year.
Oh, yeah.
That so many people missed out on that play.
I just thought one of the big components of that game was that they really were able to, I think still Hunt had a good game, but they were able to contain the big plays that he was doing in past games. Like they really limited what he was doing in this game. I thought they did a great job.
They did, but for what they limited him, Tyreek Hill still knocks it. I mean,
they're going to transition to something else, for sure. But
the thing is Smith is finding the guy that he needs to find to make things happen.
Yep.
And
Smith is awesome. He's playing great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Travis Kelce hasn't had a great year from a fantasy perspective.
No, but I'm incredibly proud of you for saying his name correctly.
Well,
hey,
after about 6 episodes, you're finally going to get it.
Kyrie.
But he's still getting touchdowns, right? So great game. Both these teams will be in the playoffs, even though I predicted Kansas City at the beginning of the year 2-14.
Mm-hmm.
Both these teams will be in the playoffs. It'll be really interesting to see how these, which team comes out on the AFC West.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
Moving on, guys. Panthers, Bears, where Mitchell Trubisky, as they're calling him in Trubisky now, as they're calling him in Chicago, throws the ball 7 times.
No,
He finishes the game 4 for 7 for 107 yards and no touchdowns. But I mean, his average completion of the 4 of them is going 15.3 yards, which is pretty amazing. Cam Newton again. Oh my goodness!
All right, so
I love
Just go
when
ahead.
he talks about routes.
Here's what I love. we're talking Cam Newton, who considers himself one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
what a
Yeah,
swag.
yeah.
Trubinsky is a rookie.
Right.
But this is the
And has
worst
no N in his name.
stats I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
4 for 7, 107. Andy, you just said this. Howard, the running back, gets 65 yards.
Yeah.
Their top receiver gets 70 yards.
Yeah.
Where the heck is the offensive production? And yet there's 17 points on the board.
Exactly.
How the heck did Chicago Bears score 17 points in this football game? That's what I want to know.
Defense.
Yeah.
Defense, defense, defense.
5 sacks.
Playing against Cam Newton, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sacking Cam Newton 5 times. Wow.
the Bears defense is for real. For real.
Yeah.
I think that was the most impressive to see. You know, when I first got in the NFL, I was always I wasn't always a Bills. I came in as a Bears back in when they had the big D and
I didn't know this.
Yeah, I did. They really came in, and I tell you, it kind of gave me flashbacks of what the defense looked like back then. The dominant defense. Like how you look at that stat sheet. How does 17? Does that read 17-3 with those
does.
stats?
Yep.
With those stats, though.
I mean, when it comes down to it, Eddie Jackson had an interception return for touchdown, 76-yard pick six.
Yeah.
And then there was another interception. There was a lot of turnovers. There were 5 sacks and 9 tackle for losses. So they had Carolina figured out.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. Oh my
Well,
gosh.
here's the interesting thing, just to talk fantasy and a name drop. Your buddy Rodney Sear
Yeah.
sends me a trade offer on Sunday morning. The Chicago Bears defense for Jordan Matthews. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Well, look at it. Look what happened. Look what happened.
Hey, that's not
I
bad.
should have taken the trade. I should have taken it.
That's not bad. Isn't Rodney Sear the one that put that post up with a lot of vulgar, very inappropriate things?
Very inappropriate, and I don't
Shame,
like
Rodney.
it. I don't
Shame
like
on you.
Shame.
But I mean, what can you expect from a guy that carries Ezekiel Elliott on his roster? I mean, that's
Yeah.
what you're gonna get.
He can
Well, it
Jones-
worked out for him this week. I think he went for over 200 points.
He can-
Rodney Sears' team, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, he squashed me this week.
Yeah.
He squashed me.
I don't want to spend too much time on this. I just want to give like a honorable mention. It's very rarely that you see a shutout in the NFL, and we saw
very.
3.
Yeah.
3 shutouts this week. The Jags, the Rams, and the Chargers all shut out the Colts, the Cardinals, and the Broncos, respectively.
Yeah.
The Broncos.
Yeah.
And,
Boy,
even,
oh boy.
and even the Cardinals, who haven't been doing well this year, but these are respectable teams.
Listen,
getting shut out
I-
by not the most respectable teams.
No.
As you guys know, I selected Green Bay to win the Super Bowl, and now with Aaron Rodgers being out,
Yeah.
I am almost thinking that
Oh my
my
God, are you gonna go
NFC
Rams?
championship is going to be the LA Rams.
Wow, that
I'm
would
telling
be a
ya,
story.
I don't know if I really
Where's the
want
first?
I don't know if I want to really see it with Sammy Watkins and Robert Woods, but
Sure,
why
why
not?
not? Sure, why
I'm
not?
thinking the Rams. I'm telling
Rams.
you, this team, their defense is phenomenal. Goff is finally playing like he should have been as a first round
It's just
quarterback.
good coaching, man. Like this
That's it, you nailed it.
young guy, this young kid, Sean something, right? I can never think of his name, but my gosh, like what a difference! A total different philosophy. They had so much talent on defense already.
Yeah.
And the first thing I'm laughing, right, as a friend of you guys, like I'm thinking, oh, the Rams are going to solve all their problems by picking up all the Bills scraps at receiver. Well, that's
They
where-
did.
It's
Well, that,
Yeah, but
That's
you know what though? Sammy Watkins hasn't even hit his potential yet. Like he hasn't hit his potential in all his since he's been drafted.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen
But-
90% of it, but if he could just keep doing that for like 16 games or even like 13,
Yeah.
I mean, he's a 1,400-yard receiver.
Absolutely.
well, and the only thing with him though is Watkins. I think that there's a little crack in his armor. I never realized he was that much of a problem in Buffalo. Of wanting the ball more, complaining. I always thought he was more of a team guy, but that came out because he came out and said too I got to settle myself down. I wasn't the player I should have been in Buffalo.
But you have to. So I hear what you're saying, Chris, but everything in Buffalo was a problem when Rex Ryan was there. So like he can look back at that and go like, I wasn't part of the solution. I was part of the problem. I think a lot of your guys were part of the problem.
for sure,
And you guys clearly have it together now with your new coach. And again, I cannot believe you're 4-2. Like, and you are. And there's a lot of teams that we can say that about. And I think like you're right there with the Rams just in terms of like, is this really happening? Though the Rams are doing it just, I mean, and I was wrong about Todd Gurley. Like when I said,
me
said
too.
this
Me
guy
too.
was so horrible last year. He's lost it. He doesn't know what he's doing. He is in the conversation of the best running backs in the league. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
Zeke Elliott had that. We're not going to talk Cowboys this week, but Zeke Elliott had that game where you're like, okay, Zeke of last year is back, probably just in time to be, he's
He's going to be
he's a
back
bomb.
soon.
He's a bomb.
but if it wasn't for that Todd Gurley, I mean, I don't think there's anybody that's even close, right?
Yeah.
So,
All right, let's keep
speaking of
rolling here.
AFC East teams that I cannot believe are 4-2, how are the Miami Dolphins 4-2? Like I think Dolphins, and all I think is like they must be like 1-5.
You know what, here, hold on here.
Ugly.
Not
Ugly.
only that, but here's the thing: when you look at the standings right now, the AFC East is the powerhouse of the
Absolutely.
AFC.
You're gonna send 3 teams to the playoffs. Maybe.
Oh my!
Yeah, 2 of which we still can't believe like have 4 wins.
And they're saying it
Look
too.
at Matt
Are we
Moore,
actually
though.
here?
No, like Cutler gets hurt in this game, possibly broken ribs, but Matt Moore comes in and lights it up for Miami.
Yeah.
188 yards, 2 touchdowns,
But
an
he
interception.
but he does that all the time. He
Like,
does when
why
he comes
did they
in.
even sign Cutler?
Because you wait, watch this.
Matt Moore
When
can
you
be
play,
figured out fast.
yeah, when you playing against Matt Moore, things unless you're the Buffalo Bills, where he seems to always have Buffalo Bills numbers.
Some quarterbacks just have everybody's number.
Yeah,
right? So-
but you watch this next game. It's going to be a dose of reality that Moore, I think, will be figured out pretty fast.
Okay.
And this is just like it shows you who McCown is and why he's played for 150 teams over like 17 years or something. I mean, he had a good game, 17
Yeah.
for 27, 209,
Oh, yeah.
3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and just couldn't quite do enough to beat the Dolphins, who even lost their quarterback. So
Crazy.
that's a crazy one. Let's talk Super Bowl rematch. The Pats just make the Falcons look really bad. I know we've been talking about it week to week, and my question's right up front at the beginning. And this isn't an I told you so, because even I'm surprised at this, but I thought losing Kyle Shanahan and bringing in a college offensive coordinator,
You made the point.
Yep. How can this, like, because the offense carried their team last year.
Yeah,
they
they
had
did.
some defensive playmakers, but they were not a bend, don't break. They were a break and then score more defense, right?
Yeah.
And this offense is not right.
It's terrible. I mean, we saw them lose against the Buffalo Bills. Again, we were surprised by that. Then Miami knocked them off. I was really surprised by that. Now, New England, I figured this at the beginning of at the beginning of the year, knowing what I know about Stephon Gilmore, I probably would have picked Atlanta for this game. Atlanta has looked atrocious.
Yeah.
And I feel real bad, not overly bad, but I feel real bad for you fantasy owners that sunk all your money into Matt Ryan and Julio Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Because what disappointments these guys have been if you're a fantasy owner this year with these guys on your roster.
Yep.
And when Ray was in Winnipeg, Chris, I mentioned to you on our show that I've been gearing up to have that Stephon Gilmore argument. It's still not the time. We'll wait till later.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. What do you think of this game?
I think the running game seems to not be. We talked a little bit about this running game. Just everything that doesn't seem to be hitting all cylinders. Yeah, I think the point of bringing that new coach in, even though he's copied the same kind of playbook.
Yeah, we talked about that before, and not to cut. I want you to finish your thought, but. Remember last week I said, like, I mean, Sarkisian, I don't know, did he bring what Alabama did or did he try to copy what was going on in the Falcons? I didn't know because I doubt a college team is running a zone scheme blocking,
No, that's right.
all that. Apparently, because I heard this on a podcast from, a reputable sources, is they kept the same playbook. The scheme is exactly the same. So they brought this college guy from Alabama, like a ground and pound college team in the SEC, to come in and just take over Kyle Shanahan's playbook. So they have tried to do the same thing. So at the end of the day, it's just he's not calling the plays at the same time.
That's basically it.
Something's going on.
That was a great comment. We've got a comment here from Luc LeBlanc. He wants to know, what is that zone de bloc or zone de
the
bloc?
zone blocking scheme.
Yeah. What is that?
I mean, listen, I'm no football coach, but I can tell you that your offensive line has a plan to. Did he really ask this question?
No.
I was going to answer it for him. All right.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No more,
you were talking.
no more questions from Luke.
We do have one question, but
All right,
What do-
go ahead.
It's not a good one.
we'll wait till the end of the games here.
Okay.
Hi. No, really, basically that kind of summed it up. Of I think they're just, even though that you're trying to copy, if you try to copy Belichick's scheme, hey, let's copy Belichick's scheme. It doesn't make it yours. You're not gonna have the same success as copying someone that did well with it.
Yeah.
I just don't like now thinking, oh, we got all the personnel's, like, let's keep it the same. Logically, that seems, that should work.
Yeah.
It's just not working.
All right. Well, let's talk about last night's game to close this out. And there was no show last week, but is it Jason?
Jason Kenny.
So Jason Kenny, last week we did talk Eagles, and we couldn't publish the show.
A lot, actually.
We talked
we
a
did.
lot of Eagles last week.
But man, we're gonna talk even more Eagles because this hurts me so much to watch. But yet I can't stop watching him because he's so great. Carson Wentz is a superstar. He's
Awesome.
the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFC
Big time.
in that division, NFC East. And they surrounded him with good guys, and even when Jason Peters, like one of the best left tackles in the league, that's a shame, Abe. Like back to back, Joe Thomas, Jason, probably
former Buffalo Bill.
probably the two best left tackles in the league go down to season-ending injuries. But even after that happened, and his replacement wasn't quite up to par, Carson Wentz, I mean, that one touchdown throw where he was dodging all the pressure and threw it into the back corner of the end zone was just unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Man, the Eagles are fun.
Well,
They're fun.
I thought the one play that was just amazing was the whole. It looked like the whole defensive line was on top of him.
Yeah.
And then he decides, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
and
he takes off. Yeah.
He scrambles, and like that was the killer. Like that should have been fourth down after that play.
Yeah.
That would have kept them in. But that guy just has the poise to go, no, I want to win this. He wills it to win.
The funny thing is a lot of people talk about, I don't want to go back to the Browns, but there's a lot of parallels here because like the Browns are the reason that the Eagles have Carson Wentz, and even I know Eagles fans. I didn't know Jason Kenny well enough to talk to him when this trade happened, but my Eagles friends up in Miramichi were like, oh gosh, we just gave away the farm for some kid who played for North Dakota State and everything. They were iffy about this.
Yeah.
He was worth 2 extra picks than what you even gave up, guys. I mean, this guy is so good. And people talk about Kaiser having poise. Well, there's a difference between having poise and being full of fire and just having poise because you don't necessarily care what you do out on the field. And I think that's the difference between these two guys. Like, Kaiser just shrugs everything off because I'm starting to wonder if he even cares.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a level of I know obviously I would highly doubt he doesn't care, but I think there's a
It's just
level of
different
frustration.
level.
Well, I
He's
think
a
there's
young kid. He's 21.
well, you get frustrated, right? You almost get like I think Cutler has that
I
look.
wish he would get frustrated. He doesn't, Chris. He's smiling as he
I know,
walks
but you know what it is? It's almost like a Cutler-esque kind of thing. Why I think the fans get on Cutler of he just doesn't look like he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He needs to get a little bit more grizzlied before he can do
Maybe
something
let's
like
hope.
that. Yeah.
Let's hope it gets there.
One quick highlight on that thing I want to touch on is that what I thought was the most impressive of that game is Washington defense was actually doing very well against the Phillies O, and I liked how look how many points were put up in the second half. Like this kid is really something special.
He is, man. And Kirk Cousins was going blow for blow with him in the second half. And Kirk Cousins had a great game, 30 for 40.
Oh, yeah.
He had to throw the ball 40 times. The two tight ends in the Redskins, Jordan Reed, one of them who was playing hurt, 8 receptions, 64 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And the reason why I won a fantasy matchup, not yours. We can talk about ours too. Carson,
Might as well talk about that one really
Well,
quick.
not
not
yet.
yet.
Okay.
Because I have a couple points on this game I want to talk
Let's
about
do
real
it.
quick. So
Let's hear it.
Shoot.
one thing I love about watching Philadelphia is, do you remember when Jim Schwartz was the defensive coordinator for Buffalo?
Yeah.
He is such a fun defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He's got these guys flying. 4 sacks in this game and an interception. I love watching that aggressive. They're coming on almost every play defense that Schwartz runs. I love it there. You just brought up Kirk Cousins. This guy is balling just like Wentz and the other top quarterbacks that we keep talking about. What is Washington going to do about his contract heading into the end of this season?
It's going to be interesting, man.
It will be interesting.
It's going to come down to who's willing to he's going to set records even beyond what we're thinking in terms of a quarterback contract here, and it's going to come down to who's willing to pay for him.
Yeah.
And whether or not he really does have some ties in Washington that we don't know about. Like, is he really actually happy there and would like to stay? I know his wife just had a kid. You know, they haven't been there long enough for that kid to be in school or anything. So maybe he's willing to relocate. I guess we'll see. I don't know.
Okay.
Money talks.
But they are beasts, and their young rookie there, Derek Barnett, sack machine.
Yeah.
Had two in that game. Yeah.
One quick Bills thing. Isn't it suck to see Nigel Bradham, how well he's playing under Swartz?
Oh, I knew he would because he fits.
Oh, man. I just miss him so much now.
Yeah,
He
he's
fits.
so good.
The nightmare.
He fits Swartz's defense, that rushing blitzing
man.
defense so
He's a
well.
beast.
Yeah.
He's a
So
beast.
just newsflash: there's a Browns fan here that has to watch Carson Wentz. So come on.
Okay. Yeah.
Can we?
In hindsight,
That is it for NFL. Now I've got a few more topics we're going to talk about before we get out of here. In about 10 minutes from now, boys, the game 1 of the World Series kicks off tonight.
Here we go.
Houston Astros versus the LA Dodgers. What are your guys' thoughts
Now-
on this series?
Now, Ray, before we get into that, I do have one question from an audience member here
Okay.
from Scott Chisholm.
Okay.
Scott Chisholm.
He says, should the NFL end the London experiment?
Ooh, that's a good question.
All right, that's a great question. And that's being brought up because Todd Gurley was not happy this week with the whole travel arrangements and these West Coast teams having
It
to
is
go
tough.
all the way across to LA
Yeah.
or to London.
Yeah.
I loved, as a fan, in 2015, I went to London to see the Bills play against Jacksonville. I loved the experiment. I loved the travel. The city was amazing. I can't wait to go back again. So from a selfish perspective, no, I think the London experiment should continue.
Well, Scotty Chisholm, they're not even going to have to make that decision. The decision's going to be made for them because this week the NFL is sending the Cleveland Browns to play over in London. And after they watch that, they're going to say, get this rubbish back over to the other side of the pond. And I think London's going to pull the plug on this. So they're not even going to have to make a decision.
What did you send over here?
I heard one person mention in one of the chat room. I know one of the things I follow. I thought it would be a better idea of preseason game. Why not load it up on the preseason? I know, but just go. But not only in London, go get more exposure that way of all preseason games. Move them all over the
I
place.
think they're gearing up for a team in London.
Yeah, they are gearing up for a team
and they
in
have
London.
the support.
But here's what you really need to think about, people, because it's going to happen at some point. The NFL will have a game at some point in China as well.
And
they're talking about it already.
Isn't there a Patriots game in Mexico City this year?
They have been doing Mexico City the last couple of years. There may be one this year.
I'm positive the Patriots have a game in Mexico City this year.
Okay.
I think they play the Chargers. You can fact check that for me, Mr. Cameron.
Listen,
Check it.
All I can
Man
tell you
behind
is
the glass.
And check yourself.
as all you have to see
Actually,
is
I'll fact check.
TV ratings. TV ratings are down in the NFL this year across the board. They've been down last year. They're down again this year. Something's changed about the NFL. There are a lot of people, I don't hear or feel the excitement in talking about football with the general public. I mean, there's still Bills fans, there's still Browns fans, there's still Philly fans.
Unbelievably.
But there was a lot of viewers before that they weren't really a fan of another team, but they loved football. It's those viewers that they're losing.
Yeah.
So they've got to find those viewers somewhere else. And if they have to go to London, Mexico, China,
A lot of politics, though.
China, if they have to go to China, then that's what they're going to do.
I think politics had something to do with that. Yeah. I think that'll bring it back.
All right, let's get back to World Series. Scotty Chisholm.
Good
Houston
question.
Astros versus the LA Dodgers. Chris, what's your thoughts on this World Series?
You know, I to be honest, I only watched a few games. I'm just real sick of how the Blue Jays season dwindled away to nothing, and I hope we have a segment on that to kind of break that down still.
Yep.
But the pitching seems very strong with the Astros. I think that's going to be one thing that's going to be hard to overcome. I really love, this is kind of like a really nice, a new flavor of these two teams in there. I'm really intrigued to see. I'm going to be paying attention to this one. But I'd say the pitching's going to have the biggest impact for the Astros, and I think that's who's going to end up taking it.
I'd love to see the Astros win. I love that the Astros ruined the league's dream of having a LA New York World
it's
Series.
crazy. Yeah,
Plus,
the ruiners.
I love everything terrible that happens non-tragic to the Yankees.
Yeah.
To throw that
Yeah,
non-tragic
of course,
thing in there.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so like again, as a huge Jays fan, as you guys know, this year was kind of ruined for me. I was used to watching terrible Jays seasons until they spoiled me for 3 years in a row. Then I realized this year I just wasn't interested because I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
You guys heard my podcast to start the year. I basically
Absolutely.
said they didn't change anything, and this is about to happen, and that's what happened. And every fan was calling that, not just me. So it kind of ruined it for me. But I'm rooting for the Astros. I want to see it. Will I watch every game of the World Series? Nope. But I'll watch the one that has a chance to end it, and
All right.
I hope they get it.
Why don't we make some picks? Chris, what's your pick in this series?
I say 5. I say Astros in 5.
Astros in 5. The Astros have a pretty good rotation, but there's a bit of a fall off so I'm going to
relievers.
go Astros in 6.
Yeah, that's what I got. I got Astros in 6. You've stolen 2 of my points on this series. Nick, do you want to make a point here?
I'll say
Great
Astros in
minds
7.
think alike.
All right, Astros
Ooh.
in 7. There you go.
There we
Not
go.
asteroids.
We've got it.
Asteroids.
Yeah, it
asteroids?
wasn't.
The asteroids?
It wasn't asteroids versus defender. All right.
By the way, the Patriots do play in Mexico City on November 19th against the Oakland Raiders.
There
That's
you
on
go. There you
Wikipedia,
go.
so I don't really trust
Wikipedia.
that.
Real quick here.
The
Okay,
Oh.
we're going to talk hockey real quick. Each team's got about 9 games in their schedule so far. Here's the tops of the East. We got Tampa Bay, Toronto, New Jersey with 15, 14, and 12 points. Bottom of the Eastern Division is the Buffalo Sabres, New York Rangers, Montreal
Yikes.
Canadiens,
Wow. Wow.
and
Those
6-6-3.
Yeah.
God, Buffalo, I'm not surprised because I've been playing like crap, but I was surprised that the Rangers are down there. You hear lots about Montreal right now, but I was surprised the Rangers are down there. On the Western side, top of the division, you got the LA Kings, St. Louis, and Vegas.
Vegas. Yeah.
Vegas is up there. Top 3, 13, 13, and 12. And here's the thing. Bottom of the Western Conference right now, Minnesota, Edmonton, and Arizona. Edmonton, they've got 4 points.
They're supposed to be a
Connor
Stanley
McDavid
Cup
there.
favorite or something, aren't they?
What is going on? I'd be more concerned if I was an Edmonton fan than I am as a Buffalo fan right now.
They're asking. They're so used to getting first round picks. That's what they're cheering for instead of the Stanley Cup.
Oh, I don't know.
more time.
But they were correct me if I'm wrong, but they were expected to be cup contenders, right? And
They
not
are.
that they aren't.
Absolutely.
Not that they aren't. It's only,
We're
it's only
9
7 games.
We're 9 games in. But here's my biggest point.
So
okay,
yeah, go ahead.
can somebody please stop this? Somebody please stop this for me. Gary Bettman, please stop this.
Stop coming to work.
Arizona
Please.
is not where a team should be. They got 1
Yeah,
point,
no.
9 games in.
Bring the Nordiques back.
Can we put them in Quebec? Okay, nobody watch. The only people watching hockey down in Arizona are Canadians on vacation. Let's get rid of this Arizona team, put them back in Quebec, and let's have that
Awesome.
Montreal
Agreed.
Quebec rivalry. Remember Quebec Buffalo rivalry?
That was awesome.
So I got a question for you though. So I'm gonna name drop.
yeah.
Also gonna cross promote. So on actually I'm not gonna cross promote. We had him on the main show. Never mind. Jay Onright. Remember when we asked him about this?
Yeah.
So Jay Onright said he thinks Seattle probably has a shot before Quebec. Now, would you be thrilled with a team moving to Seattle, or would that be
No.
much better than Arizona to
No.
you? Because not to me at all.
No, because I'm going to be selfish again. I don't want to be turning on the TV. I don't want to have to turn on the TV at 11 o'clock at night to
Yeah,
watch a
I
hockey
agree.
game here in the East Coast.
Yeah.
I want that team in Quebec so that they're in the Eastern Conference. They're playing the Sabres. That's more times I get to see the Sabres play in a that 8 o'clock game.
Makes sense.
And it's only a 6-hour drive away. I can go up and catch a Sabres game when they're playing in Quebec. So selfishly, I want them in Quebec. Let's go. Get it out of Arizona.
Chris
Well,
got something.
and I think also too historically, people like fans, I think, want to root for having teams that have some. Like, what would you want? Seattle, like Nordique. I think overwhelmingly, if you polled that, I think the NHL fan base would probably be, I don't know, 80, 85.
Yeah,
you say?
Seattle might have a bit of a history in hockey that we're not aware of, being so close to
But not Nordiques.
to us.
Not Nordiques,
Oh
so.
yeah, no, not the Nords. But I mean, like, the Arizona, it doesn't really matter. It's nothing like Quebec City. You're right.
Yeah,
But, would it be a step up from Arizona? I don't know.
I think so.
I think it's too boring of a move. Like, I don't want anybody moving anymore unless they're coming back to Canada, or even like a new team coming to Canada,
No,
which we know is not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Arizona project.
Quebec's the only option.
Shut it down.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
Unless they call them the Supersonics again.
We've got to make a choice. We
Sean
got to
can't
make a
be the
choice
coach.
here.
The Supersonics.
We
game.
can only talk about one of our last two our topics because we're running out of time.
Okay.
We are either going to talk about fantasy football.
I'd be Chris.
Who should we
So
be?
we're already done.
Oh yeah. You'll get in that in your final thoughts, right?
Okay, sure.
Who should we be moving? Like what players should we be moving at this particular point?
Yep.
Or with the NFL trade deadline coming up, do we want to talk about some possible NFL trades?
Well, I like the trade because selfishly, a lot of people need tackles, and Buffalo's got a plethora of tackles.
All right, what are we doing? Are we talking possible NFL trades?
Let's do it.
Sure.
All right, let's go. All right, Chris, give me a trade that you think could take place in the NFL before the NFL trade deadline.
Well, I think right off the bat, I think there's a massive hole with Philly, with Peters going down.
Yeah.
So I think Glenn, they're already talking about, Glenn has a massive salary. Actually, it's not as massive as Darius, but it's a good salary to dump. And we have some young guys that have been performing well. And
Dawkins is playing well over there.
yeah, and so I think this could be a good move to unload a big salary and maybe bring in. I don't know who they'd be
What
willing.
would you get for him though? What
Well,
would you get for a
I think
quarterback?
picks would be
Draft
more.
picks?
I think picks would be more appropriate. But you don't really see a lot of players being moved. If you're going to, I don't know, maybe throw in a receiver. A receiver is always going to be good for us. But I think you can get that in the draft, and we have so many draft picks coming up this next year. Why not keep just loading up those? Maybe a second. Do you get a first? For Glenn, I think
no. I think a second pick for Glenn, second or third.
I just
would
think
be
that
valuable for him.
I think you're right, and I do, but I think that's one of those positions, a left tackle, a proven left tackle. He is one of I believe to be one of the top tackles in the league.
Why would you trade him?
I just think that he's up there in age. He's shown a little bit of injury problems, and we have some capable tackles that can take over for him.
Fair enough. Yeah.
What about, I'm going to throw a name out for you because this guy here is doing everything he possibly can to be traded. Mm-hmm. He doesn't even want to go into work anymore.
Yeah.
He missed a day of work this week for practice. And Martavius Bryant out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
This guy wants to be traded.
Mm-hmm.
Where's a good landing spot for him?
He's not going to get traded.
No, that's right.
At the NFL trading deadline, nothing happens. We know that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's very to me. I'm going to get back to your question, but to me, the moment Joe Thomas got hurt, and now Peters got hurt, the aging left tackles that can take a contender to the next level because they just need like a solid offensive lineman. Those are the trades that I would have been looking for. And now that they're hurt, they're not going to happen. Martavis Bryant. Everything going on I even read an article the other day that Antonio Brown wants out, right? I don't know what's going on in Pittsburgh other than they're pulling out wins and they're probably a true blue contender and so on. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to get anything that's going to help their Super Bowl chances in 2017 back for him.
Right.
So why bother?
Well, talking about Pittsburgh like that, the whole Pittsburgh organization is a disarray. You got Ben Roethlisberger talking about I should retire. I'm going to come back. I'm going to retire. I'm going to come back. You got Bell, who's a walking.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not all there upstairs.
But when you've got that many wins, you can't call dysfunction. Like they're holding it together, and they have like the
they
best
may be
ownership
holding it
in the
together,
league.
but
Like,
there is. They don't. It's not like the Patriots. As much as I love the Patriots, everybody's on board on that team with every
Right.
page. You never hear anything negative come out of the city of Boston when it comes about the Patriots, right?
yeah.
You don't see that with the Steelers. You see stuff creep up in the news all the time. There's players getting suspended, whatever the case may be. something's not all there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I do see some kind of change coming. I don't know if Ben will be there next year or not.
Maybe not, but in terms of trade deadline, I mean, really it comes down to offensive line and maybe a defensive back, safety, something like that. Otherwise, in the middle of the season like this, it's hard to just plug somebody in, and you wouldn't really want to make a trade for a high salary player like that unless it was going to take you over the top. And I don't know.
The only team I think that it could fit
Chiefs
is the Buffalo Bills. And one of the players I'm thinking about from the Bills is Marcel Darius, because he's a player for the Bills that he's got a very high contract. It's $16 million this year. It's going to be very tough to trade with that contract.
You're not going to get anything.
But
Sixth round
this
pick.
guy could be very productive in another system in the right environment. And if he buys in, that's the biggest thing. If he buys in, this guy can be a beast. He used to be with Buffalo, but it's in my opinion, as a Bills fan, it's time to let Darius go, and Buffalo needs wide receivers. But I don't think Bryant fits in with Coach McDermott's mindset of what a wide receiver looks like.
All right, well, I can't see this happening, but let me throw an idea out to you. Terrell Pryor got benched.
Yes.
In Washington.
Yeah.
And you need a receiver.
Yeah.
And isn't Darius's former defensive coordinator, who would know him somewhat well, in Washington now? Oh no, he's in Philly.
No, he's in
Philadelphia.
Darn. There goes that thought.
That didn't work.
I guess it comes down to who knows Marcel Darius and could plug him into their system. And other than Schwartz, who else did he play for? I mean, Rex Ryan, right? So he could go to Fox and talk on TV or something, right? So there's not much else there.
All
so
right.
yeah.
Well, that's
only one. Well, not really. We got only one thing I think that we missed on is that Carson Palmer broke his arm. He's out, I think, 4 to 6 weeks. I think it mentioned.
Yeah.
So the Vikings are sitting on some quarterback options,
But they're all hurt. Nobody's healthy there.
well, I think Bradford could return sooner than 4 to 6 weeks.
Sure.
And they did have a little bit of momentum in Arizona until that happened. Do you think any of the guys in Arizona are any viable quarterbacks now that Palmer's gone?
Well, I think they're going to ride with Drew Stanton.
Yeah.
And because he was drafted by Bruce Arians. But then they also have Blaine Gabbert on the bench, who looked better than anybody in the preseason. So I think they're going to ride that out. And just to go back to my point from earlier, you can't just plug anybody into your offense at this point in the season and then figure it out. And I'm thinking the most important position in all of sports, I mean, it's not a crazy thought. I think it's something that could happen in the offseason.
They did it with Peterson. They have Johnson coming back.
Well, running back,
right?
look for the hole and run. But
all I can say about this is it's too bad that Cap filed a grievance against the NFL.
Yeah, he's done for it.
All right, that is our show for this week, guys. We got a lot of topics in there. I think we talked about every sport except for the NBA. Thank God. Now, before we get out
talk
of
some
here,
NBA?
before we get out of here, Chris, do you have any final thoughts for the night?
Yeah, I just read up that Lynch is officially suspended for the next game for Buffalo versus
Good.
for that
or whatever. Yeah.
Yep, Oakland.
Things are really going Buffalo's way this way.
Can I finish my thought?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
Go ahead.
sorry,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So I think that I'm really excited for this next game. If Buffalo can win this next game, I'll consider them a true contender if they can beat Oakland.
Okay.
Agreed.
And I'm not saying contender for the Super Bowl, but of making the playoffs.
No,
I
winning
think
the Super Bowl.
or could. But I think they could finally break that. I don't know how many even years. Oh my God, I'm so
A lot of years.
A lot of years.
The most in
Too
the
many.
the most
Yeah.
in the NFL.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the longest playoff drought in the NFL.
Andy, final thoughts.
Congratulations to Mike Hallahan for winning our pick'em pool.
Hey, Mikey.
He did quite well. He won a tiebreaker against Steve Ward.
Hey, Steve.
And the standings are pretty interesting with Mark Cormier just ruling the top of the house. But I've made my way to second place in the standings. This big week from Mike, going from 10 points the last week to 22 this week. Probably the biggest week that we've had has moved him into third. And I want to give a quick shout out to Diana Bork.
Diana Bork.
Diana Bork hasn't won a week yet, but Diana is just kind of, that player that shows up on film every week. Like, you continue to see that name popping up, having good week after good week after good week. So Diana Bork's in 4th place.
What about her husband, though? Her husband, Steve Dawson. Let's see.
Steve Dawson?
Yeah, Steve Dawson
Quick
is...
look here for a sec.
yeah, he is
He's at the
way
bottom.
Isn't he our
down.
cameraman?
Yeah, he's way down at the bottom. And he's in the embarrassing... Yeah, he is very embarrassing.
Embarrassing bracket.
He knows nothing about football. Nothing about football.
Not seeing him down here. Though,
Wasn't he a tuba player?
he's doing better than Adam Myler.
Adam Myler.
Adam.
Nick, any final thoughts we got on here?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all?
No. My
right.
Sabres aren't winning, so.
Well, before I give my final thoughts, let's just give another quick shout out to the Moose Light. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you know the drill. Go get yourself a Moose Light. This stuff is scary good.
Skrr.
And if you're a sports team, an organization, a school team, and you need hats, shirts, jackets, whatever the case may be, make sure you go see our friends at Doyle's Corporate Image.
Those rule.
And lastly, again, guys, if your kitchen sucks and you need to spice that sucker up, go get yourself some Done Right sauce. I almost said buffalo sauce there.
But you
But
didn't.
I didn't. It's Done Right sauce. And again, it's at
Longo.
Longo's. In Ontario, go to Longo's. If you're in Atlantic Canada here, go check out Sobeys. My final thoughts of the night, and I hate to cross-promote, but I have to cross-promote here a little bit. You guys need to tune in and catch out our Canadian podcast this week. Out of all the sports teams I saw this week, there's one particular team that I have to give a huge shout out to, and that's the Harrison Tremble Trojans High School out of Moncton, New Brunswick here. What you guys did this weekend in Sackville against the Tanchmar Titans, you guys are a classy group of athletes, and for you grade 12s, where that might be your last game, that's one heck of a way to end your football career, a high school football career.
Good job, boys.
Be on the lookout on our social media feeds because we're going to be sharing video of what Ray's talking
Yeah,
about.
it was amazing. I was very proud to be a part of it, and thank you guys for playing along with that. So that's our show for this week. Enjoy the games this week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Later. 5 yards.
0 and 2. 0 and 3. 0 and 4. 0 and 4. And third down.
And that's it.
I thought I had.
I know.
She's all lit up, hair and makeup. She's out every night. She's drinking pesticide. She's up and gone again. It's not a boyfriend.